Well, thank you to Mr. Balisky and Ms. Gorski for joining us today from Meadow Lake and for sharing your success story of the Meadow Lake Tribal Council and NorSask forest products. I was wondering if you could provide some insight as to what you would like to see in future trade agreements that will help create employment opportunities for Indigenous persons in rural and remote parts of the country.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, everything that we can do on that front would be very positive. Just very specifically about softwood lumber, what happens is the big broad brush that gets applied to the Canadian landscape, and the federal government needs to make sure there's a more finely tuned approach taken in response. And as we've been able to indicate with some of our charts, the Indigenous contribution to the softwood lumber issue is non-existent. And it's critical that we get special protection and based on some good rationale, and this be presented in a very cogent manner to the U.S. and making sure that Canada stands up for the Indigenous community when it comes to any sector across Canada. It takes so much effort and goodwill to make these things happen, and it takes stability. And with these ups and downs in trade wars and so forth, changing agreements, critical that we have that stability built into the system.
And you mentioned that because northern Saskatchewan is landlocked, that there is little opportunity for you to export offshore. Is there anything that can be done with improved infrastructure, such as rail or highways, that would be beneficial to you in getting your products to international markets?
Hi, thank you for that question. I'll try to answer that. Our rail line was abandoned many, many years ago here in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. We did have a rail line that served this community for many years under the CN. And then it was sold over to Omnitracks, which was Carleton Trail Railway. There's three big manufacturers in Meadow Lake, one being the pulp mill, OSB manufacturer, and then ourselves. At that time, we all used the rail line to logistically get our products to market. At this time, we do not have the capacity. So now, with the rail line abandoned, all of our equipment goes by trucks. So when you're looking to hit the offshore markets, let's say, going trucking from Meadow Lake to BC and then loading and getting over to the Asian market, it's very, very costly. And because we're one of one sawmill, we are limited in regards to being competitive.
Thank you very much.
So our market per se may not be as big as, let's say, a BC or an Alberta producer.
Okay, thank you very